So I'm sure everyone's wondering what's different about these runners and how do they work. I'm going to start by showing you what the standard runners and our runners look like on the same skis. Here we have two Ski-Doo pilot skis, identical skis from the same snowmobile. They've probably got around 7,000 or 8,000 miles. The top ski is an example of a standard Ski-Doo runner that would come on these skis. The bottom is our profile TR tunable runner with the wedge plate. And we'll get into that here in a few minutes. But what makes these runners steer better is the overall depth that the runner is into the snow from the tunable runner to the factory runner. As you can see, the amount of runner in the snow is significantly more, which is what steers the snowmobile primarily. The small carbide pieces that are in either one of these runners are really just a wear surface. They're the thing that hits the ground when you're going on a hard surface, or when they're sharp, they turn better on ice. But as you can see, that sharp edge doesn't last very long. And on the factory runners, they don't even worry about putting a sharp edge on them. Next, we're going to talk about what you see that's the main difference in a tunable runner versus anything you've ever seen. And it's what we call our tunable fin plates. As you can see, there's three different examples here of the way the plates fit on the skis. These fin plates are what comes with each set of runners. You have two of these 2x5-inch rectangular shaped fin plates and two of these what we call 2.5-inch wedge fin plates. And as you can see on these two examples, the wide side on this ski is mounted to the rear of the ski. The wide side on this is mounted to the front of the ski. And this is a simple matter of loosening the runner and turning the plate from one way to the other way. It takes a minute to turn that plate from one direction to the other. What this fin plate does is controls the depth that the runner is in the snow. By changing this fin plate to different sizes, if you make this fin plate bigger, longer, it changes how much the runner floats when you're going straight down the trail. You're essentially running on the plate surface when you're going straight down the trail. So you've significantly reduced the amount of runner in the snow when you're going straight forward. And then when you turn a corner and the ski cambers, it allows the runner and the plate to dig into the surface and increase the amount of depth that the runner's in the snow, and turns the snowmobile. By reducing the amount of penetration when you're going straight or slightly turning, it makes the steering in the handlebars very, very easy. It's almost like power steering. And by switching these plates from the rear, wide side to the rear, wide side to the front, this example would put more weight on the front of the ski because you're actually pushing, the snow's pushing up here and it's pushing this down. So the front of the ski wants to steer easier because the front of the ski tries to steer the snowmobile by itself. When you put it like this, where the wide side of the plate is in the front, it tries to push the rear of the runner into the snow, which makes it want to track straight. It makes it more difficult to turn, actually has a little bit more bite, a little bit more grip into the snow. But it is definitely noticeably harder to steer when it's in this position. And this is a feature that we found was very helpful to from one rider to the next. Some riders want a very easy feel in the steering in the handlebars. Some want a more firm feel in the handlebars, but they want it to track straight is their most important thing that they want. And so others just want it to steer really easy. They're not so concerned about how much steering, but they want it to steer easy, and especially not chase the grooves in the snow. That is one thing that by adding these plates in normal snow conditions, when you see grooves from other riders in the snow and your ski's always trying to chase into those grooves, some people call it darting, but it's really just the skis chasing those grooves. With these plates, it eliminates the feeling that your skis are going to get caught into those grooves. And you can just simply steer in and out of those grooves like they're not even there. It's a significant difference in the way what you feel in the handlebars when you're driving the snowmobile. As you can see, we've got lots of different examples of plates that we've tried. There's over 50,000 test miles of test and tune time developing these plates, changing the sizes, changing the depths, changing the placements. And these are just some of the examples that we've tried and actually tested. These are the 5 samples that we actually are selling that we feel are the most effective, and when you change from one to the other, you're going to feel a difference. If you have the 2" by 5" plate, this is what we start with. If you think that you need a little more steering, you would want to try this plate here. This is 1.5" wide by 5". And here is the corresponding wedge plate that goes with it. You can see, if you measure these, the square inch area of this plate and this plate are the same. So the actual flotation is the same from one plate to the other. What the wedge plate does is allows you to refocus the steering of the ski by moving the weight forward or back by where you put the wide side of the plate. And of course, when it's the rectangular plate, all of your load is centered into the ski. This is a smaller version of the same 2 plates. So these dig deeper into the snow and have more steering. This is a longer version, a 2" by 6" plate, which is very easy to steer. And it does give up a little bit of steering because it does hold the ski up out of the snow more. So that's kind of the general explanation of how the thin plate works. And all these different plates that we've tried all have a little different feel. But as I said, these were the ones that really seemed to be the most effective and what we are actually going to sell. What we suggest is that we send these 2 plates out with the ski or with the runners, and that you start with this one, and then try this one. Depending on which way you think you want it to go, you can install it forward or back, and the difference is noticeable. It's never going to cause you to be uncontrollable. None of these changes will cause you to lose your confidence in the steering of the machine. It will change it, you'll feel it, it will never make you uncomfortable. Next, we're going to talk about how to install the fin plates on the runners. Here's our Arctic Cat Profile TR runner and a standard 2-inch fin plate. The fin plate simply slides into the grooves like that. Very simple. The design was purposely made this way to make it quick, easy, and very simple for anybody to understand how this works. You can't do it wrong. Next, I'm going to show you how to actually put this runner on the ski. Here's our Arctic Cat ski with the plate out of the runner. The first step is you put the runner into the ski with the nuts only down on the stud to where the lock nut is. And then you stop. As you can see, there's lots of clearance here between the runner and the ski. That was on purpose so that these plates can now just slide in and out of this area, and you just push the runner up into the ski and tighten the nuts. Simple tools. This is all you need in your toolkit out in the snowmobile to change your fin plate when you're out on the trail. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they're mounting ski runners is over tightening these nuts. The torque value on these nuts is between 10 and 15 pounds. You can see I'm just snugging this up. This is all the tighter that it needs to be. And when you tighten the nuts properly, the fin plate is pulled up tight to the runner between the ski and the runner. There's no flex and movement in the plate. If there is flex and movement in the plate, that means that the plastic of the ski is actually worn away enough that the plate would be loose. This is not a big problem, but it just means your ski has excess wear as compared to a new ski. The design was such is that this plate should not be moving when the runner is in place properly. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about doing this outside and a couple things to look for to make sure that you're putting the plate back in properly. First is a brand new ski, brand new runner, everything's clean. And you can see the plate is in the grooves nicely and everything goes together fairly easily, and you can't hardly do this wrong. But when you're outside and you're doing this on the machine, which is quite easy to do on the machine, if you have a helper person that can hold the machine tipped up enough to have one ski up in the air, literally the ski is sitting right here at your belly. And it's so easy to just go in and loosen the nuts. Now we're doing this right on the snowmobile, folks. This takes about 5 minutes on the trail to do this. You loosen the nuts like we spoke about and bring the runner down and take the plate out and decide what you want to do different with the plate. Now, when you're at this point and you've pulled the runner out, if you've been out in the dirt, there may be dirt and debris and stuff up in here. You have to make sure that when you put this back in, that first of all, there's no dirt and stuff in between the plate and the runner, and that there's nothing between the runner and the ski. It's really quite easy. Usually there won't be any type of debris in there, but if there is, you have to be careful that you get it out, and that when you compress the runner back up into the ski, that the plate stays in the grooves properly, so that when you pull the nut back up, it pulls the runner up into the ski and tightens the plate. Like I said, it's very simple. Very rare did we ever have any problems with there being debris between the parts, and it's just a lot simpler than it looks. When you do it for the first time outside, you'll be surprised how quickly you can do this. Next, we're going to talk about the do's and don'ts of mounting our profile TR runners on worn skis. These two skis examples are, this ski has approximately 15,000 miles of use only with profile runners. You can see there's very little wear to this area. Of course, the corners are worn off, but all of these surfaces are still in almost like new condition. If this ski or this ski, as you can see, all of these, again, this was with the earlier version profile runners and TR runners the last few years. All of these surfaces are nearly original height with very little wear. What you will see when Ski-Doo does this and Polaris does this, these little ribs, with the narrow runner, these ribs will actually disappear. They'll wear right down to this surface down here where you see this little button. And as that wears, the runner drops further and further into the ski, and you simply start losing the steering as the runner starts to dig into that area. With our profile runners, that does not happen. Both of these skis are perfectly usable still. They work almost as good as new. Many, many thousands of miles of use left on these skis. Here is a couple of examples of skis that can no longer be used with our profile runners. Obviously, this ski has been worn away because the runner was worn completely off of the ski. There's nowhere to mount the runner surfaces on our runners that would allow that runner to sit properly on the ski any longer. Now, you can put a standard runner back in there and keep driving this ski, but the machine won't drive very well at all. And then this ski over here has been in an accident. You can see it's significantly deformed. You could not straighten this ski and make it so that you could mount our profile runner on this ski properly. It just wouldn't work either. Again, if you wanted to put a standard runner on it, you could make it drivable again, but the machine just would not drive properly with those skis. So those are a couple of examples of worn out skis. If your skis look anything like this, please don't buy our runners and try and put them on. They will not work. Here is an example of ski runners, our profile TR runners that had roughly 5,000 miles on an Arctic Cat Turbo Cat snowmobile. As you can see, there's lots of steel bar left. They are significantly worn, no doubt. There's spring riding on these. There's all kinds of different riding conditions. These were not driven in the snow all the time. There's probably 2 seasons worth of riding on this particular set of runners on a couple of different machines, again, Turbo Cats. But this is the point when we just say, you know what, you could still use them, but they don't drive as good as they were when they were new, of course. But they'd still go down the road just fine. There's lots of carbide left. And you would notice that they would run just fine. And also, here's a couple of examples of the plates, of the fin plates. This is the left-hand fin plate, and this is what the outside of the fin plate edge looks like. When you're driving the machine down the road shoulder, and the machine's tipped up on the side and it's digging into the road shoulder like this when you're trying to keep the right ski up on the snowbank, this is what happens. It wears this fin plate off like that. The same thing happens with the slides. If you look in your slides and you're wondering why your left-hand slide wears more than the right-hand slide, it's the same thing. When you have the machine tipped up on the side, right ski up on the snowbank, left ski on the hard surface of the road, this is what happens. It wears the left side of whatever is hitting the ground. In closing, some of you may be wondering what this machine is behind me. This is actually my World's Championship winning Ski-Doo twin track from 1983. We totally restored this here over the last 6 years, and it's ready to hit the track again this year. It won't be racing, but it'll be for exhibition use only. And good friend and customer Brad Hulings owns this machine, and it's turned out better than expected. It's a very nicely done piece, and hopefully a lot of you get to see it in the museums here over the next few years, and looking forward to your comments.